What is up, fellow summoners, and welcome to the channel. Today it is time finally to get into our top 10 list. Been teasing this for a while. Said as soon as I got done with my individual class breakdown videos, we would combine everything and give a top 10, which I feel like I need to mention this, although it should be understood at this point. These lists are all just for fun. My personal opinion, the biases, the experiences that I've had with characters that goes into making my list doesn't make my list any more right or wrong than your top 10. I'm sure we won't all agree here, but do keep all of that in mind. It is just for fun. At the end of the day, we can all be friends and hug it out. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Also, I am dealing a little bit this morning. I'm sure you can probably tell I'm like congested, so I may have to kind of edit this thing in and out as I clear my nasal passages to make it through the video. So with that beautiful picture in mind, let's jump right into the top 10 list. I'm going to start with the only cosmic character to make the top 10, and I'm sure it is no shock to you on who that character is. Hyperion is a lot of fun. I think whenever you have a character that has the potential to do just massive amounts of damage, that character, as far as the fun factor goes, is really, really high. And in this case, he not only has really, really high damage output, but he's got kind of flexibility as far as how he does that. He's got Furies that he builds up, he's got armor breaks, he's got really strong just kind of physical damage. He also has very, very strong Incinerate with his S1. Even has a tiny bit of regen built into the S3. Power gain makes him a really pesky defender, especially if you don't have a power control champ in defense. So overall, just a really, really strong character, a lot of fun to play. Very easily makes it into the top 10. For number 9, quickly moving up the list, is, oh, he's right there, a character that I think might be a little bit under the radar, possibly. Anybody who has got the ability to have such strong regen, combined with power control, combined with a little bit of immunity, just makes a really, really strong character for AQ, for story questing and all that. I think the thing that holds him back a little bit for me is if you look at his judgments, basically there's like a 75%, 70%, 80%, yeah, it's roughly between like a 70 and 80% chance, depending upon the one you do, for him to apply his judgment, which means most of the time it's going to proc. However, there are some times when it doesn't, which that can be really frustrating, which that I think is what holds him back slightly. But even without that, ever since the nerf in 12.0, our options for really strong regen champs have been narrowed down, and he definitely fits into that category. Very, very strong regen, good damage output, good control overall. Very fun player, very fun character to play with. I've got him at number 9. At number 8, let's jump back out of here and go over into the science class. At number 8, I've actually got my favorite science character. Where'd he go? There he is. Hulk. If you've been in the game for a while, you will remember the original version of Hulk being he was not fun to play with. When you think of Hulk, you think of somebody who's got really, really strong damage output, just kind of goes crazy. It's all about smashing face. And when you played that original version of him, that really didn't come across at all. I don't remember what the update was. I think it was 12.0 when they redid him a little bit. But his damage output, combined with his really high chance to chain stuns together in the S1, combined with Hulk Rage as a passive, plus poison immunity, plus he's got class advantage on a lot of Mystic, or not a lot of, but he's got class advantage on Mystic characters, which you see a lot of in Alliance War. But you also got Dormammu and AQ as the Alliance War boss. There's a poison path in AQ map 5 that has a bunch of cosmic characters on it. He's just very, very easy to play with, easy to understand, easy to control the enemy with his stuns. And he's one of those characters that as you lose health, typically, you become more conservative, trying to hold as much health as you can to finish out fights. But he's one of those characters, the more health you lose, the harder he hits, the quicker he gets through fights. So he actually becomes easier and easier to play with the more health that you lose, which is kind of counterintuitive to most other characters. But just a lot of fun to play with. Really, really strong champ. And got him at number 8. At number 7, and this may be cheating, I've actually got 2 characters listed here, and you may be able to guess who they are. We've got X23 and Wolverine. I felt like they were just too similar of characters to take up two separate spots in the top 10. You've got characters that both fill essentially the same role. X23 obviously has got a little bit more damage output, whereas Wolverine has a little bit more regen. But essentially both very, very good in Alliance Quest. Going to save you a ton of units that you're not having to spend on potions and revives. Save you a ton of your stash, not having to spend it on them. Excellent lane clears, very good for story questing, special event questing, all that. Road to the Labyrinth as well, very good for getting around Safeguard, for getting through the spiked armor nodes. So both of them, I've got at number 7. At number 6, let's go back here into the champ list. Oops, wrong button. Number 6, I have got my first, well, not first, I'm sorry, second Mystic character, and that is Dr. Voodoo. Dr. Voodoo probably, a lot of people's list is higher. I think he's a very, very good character. I think 6 is a good spot for him. Good damage output, good power control, strong regen at the beginning of each fight. I mean, there's really not more you can say about that. He punishes characters for using buffs. You can have Mystic Dispersion along with him to increase his damage even further by just pumping in more and more poison. But combined with the ability to have power control means it can be used pretty much all across the board in all facets of the game. Dr. Voodoo, somebody, again, I need to get awakened, need to get ranked up before I can fully appreciate him. But I have seen enough gameplay, talked to enough people, heard enough people talk about him that, yeah, I've got him firmly at number 6. At number 5, so we're looking at top 5 characters now. Got one of my new favorite characters I just added to my roster not long ago in Webpool, and I think that Webpool is probably easy top 5 in most people's list, maybe even higher than 5 in a lot of people. But damage output goes without saying, extremely high. But she's just got so much utility built into her that I don't think a lot of people really take advantage of or understand, which I'm not going to go into all that, but she's got a little bit of power control in her innervate, very strong armor break, even more damage once that S3 goes off, remove block proficiency, remove perfect block chance with her S1, the incinerate, and those abilities, you can kind of pick and choose which one you want. You can keep it up for the whole fight with her bleeds. She can convert bleeds over into even stronger and longer bleeds with her heavy attack. Has a high chance to stun once you start building up the heavies. She's got defensive ability reduction built into her just normal gameplay when you have her awakened. She can't be killed by specials when you have her awakened. She's just a really good overall package. Great in all facets of the game. Just a really fun character to play with, combined with tons and tons of utility. Make her easily top 5 for me. Then at number 4, I've got a character that I think I fall more and more in love with. It's Magik, and really, I had not even considered Magik really. I knew she was an excellent defender, but had not really considered her abilities until I was prepping for Labyrinth of Legends. And she's just so good across the board, and there's nothing complex about her. She's easy to use. All you have to focus on is just playing well. Focus on your parries, focus on your intercepts, focus on baiting specials if you need to. You don't have to worry about timers or anything like that. And then on top of that, she's got all of that limbo, not only damage, but regen. She's got a very strong power control in her S2. Not only is it a power lock, but it's also a power steal. She's just a very good all-around character. Obviously, everybody knows how good she is on defense, especially when paired with Mystic Dispersion. But she is equally, even if not a little bit better, over on the offensive side. You can counter Mystic Dispersion. You can keep characters from getting to their specials with the power lockdown. You can lock them in the corner. Use the 4-hit dash back intercept to get through mini bosses. Juggernauts are easy to play around. You can lock down Hyperions, lock down Mordos, lock down Dormammus. Just really strong all across the board. Rank her up as high as you can as a 4-star, as a 5-star. The limbo, you may think there's not really a way for me to control that when I get that regen, but it's not necessarily true. you'd be surprised, especially once you start getting that Sig level up, how often that Limbo procs. It's going to be almost every single time. So parry damage, block damage, bleed damage, all that stuff is going to be able to come back to you when you've got Limbo up. Just a very, very strong character. A lot of fun to play. I've got her up very solidly at number 4. At number 3 is a character that I wish I had as a 4-star, but I will have to show you my 3-star version of him if I can find him. Where's he at? Actually, you know what? Do I even have? I don't think I have a 3-star version of him. I guess I've only got a 2-star. I didn't realize that. OG Vision. Yes, OG Vision. I think OG Vision, like Magik, is somebody that for a long time I greatly overlooked and underestimated. But the more that we get into the game, I think the more apparent it becomes that the number one ability that a character can have, and the number one power, I guess, ability that a character can have, is locking down the enemy's power gain. And when you can do that, you control all facets of the game. You control when enemies trigger abilities, when they can attack you, when you'll be able to attack. I mean, everything is based around power. And OG Vision, because of his synthesis, it allows you, no matter what is going on at the beginning of every single fight, to have at least an S1 and very quickly an S2. You can completely drain the power, and as soon as you've done that, you've got the fight in your control. Unblockable S2s, no problem. Mystic Dispersion Champs, no problem. Increased power gain, no problem. Deals with Hyperion, no issue at all. I mean, even technically, if you just wanted to slow fight it and just kind of sit there and kind of wait until Synthesis procced, you even could work around a lot of Magik's Limbo damage as well. On top of that, he has double immunity, immune to poison, immune to bleeds. Plus, he's got a very good heal block, which also helps, like I said, with dealing with Magik and Limbo regeneration. Just a very, very strong character. Not offered very often in the game. Typically somebody you have to buy with units or somebody you have to buy with cash. But whenever he does roll back around, be sure that I will be I will be picking him up this time. Yep, got him up at number 3. So then finally at number 2, and you'll know as soon as I say what number 2 is, you'll know what number 1 is. And this one I debated on. I'm still not even sure that there is a great answer to which one of these is number 1, which one is number 2. But at the end of the day, I had to put one in number 2, and I've got another tech character. I've only got him as a 2-star. Spider-Man Stark Enhanced. I think that he really kind of blew the doors off of what everybody's expectations were of him. I know I mentioned in several videos that I was really hoping that this Spider-Man that we got was going to be more offensive based, somebody we could actually play with instead of having the classic version that's just put on defense. And we got that and more. His damage output is far past anything that I realized that he would be capable of or even expected him to be capable of. His hero's mantra increases his critical damage output combined with his poise charges, which increases fury, or his attack damage. Overall, just so incredibly strong. If it was just that alone, he wouldn't make, necessarily these top 5. But when you combine that with the fact that he has such a high chance to auto-evade special attacks that are projectiles, that just makes him a monster. Typically, when a character does a physical attack for a special, they're easy to evade. However, the projectile ones from time to time are more difficult to play around, and even if you're playing well, a lot of the times you're still taking block damage or parry damage because of all that stuff. But this allows him, even though he doesn't have regen, to get through a lot of that, to take very, very little damage, and then to dish it out just in massive amounts on the offensive side. So overall, a character that I very much am looking forward to getting, like OG Vision, as a 4-star character. I think he could potentially be a number 1, but very solidly right now I've got him at number 2, which means if you're smart, I'm sure you've probably guessed who I've got at number 1. And let me go into the mutant class here. Again, somebody who I don't have as a 4-star. I don't have any of these top 3 as 4-star characters. Yeah, it's Iceman. I think what did it for me when I was looking, you know, how do I differentiate Spider-Man, Stark Enhanced, and Iceman? It really came down to the fact that, okay, Iceman's got immunities, Spider-Man does not. Iceman can be used as defender, Spider-Man really can't. He could, but wouldn't be as good of a defender. When you mess up, are you going to be punished for messing up? And with Iceman, the answer to that in a lot of cases is no. His ice armor allows you to shrug off things like if you get parried, he can shrug that right off. But more importantly, if you do manage to push a character into a special, let's say an S3 with Hyperion or Mordo, you're going to be taking almost no damage at all, which is a big factor for me. When you're playing Spider-Man, yes, he's an excellent offensive character, but from time to time, you are probably going to find yourself in a position where you've pushed somebody into a into a special, and Spider-Man doesn't have like a huge health pool, so there's really no way to kind of defend against that. If you push somebody into an S3 as Spider-Man, you're going to get punished for it, whereas with Iceman, he's a little bit more forgiving. I think maybe the ceiling for Spider-Man is probably higher, but when it comes across the board for all summoners, all characters, all players out there, I think Iceman has got the lower learning curve with just a huge amount of potential. So yeah, that one I think is going to be hotly contested, but for my money, for those reasons, I've got Iceman up at #1, and he's no slouch. I mean, when it comes to the offensive side, I don't want you to think that he's just kind of a defender that's going to get you out of a sticky situation, keep you from dying from a special. I mean, his offensive capabilities are very, very impressive. His ability with his S1 to keep enemies from being able to evade you makes him equally just as good of a defender as well, plus all of the immunities built in there. Yeah, wish I had either one of those, Stark Enhanced or Iceman as a 4-star. I will say that before you all freak out in the comment section, I don't have Star-Lord on this list because Star-Lord is very kind of purpose-built for Labyrinth of Legends, Realm of Legends, and I'm kind of taking that to the side, not really considering that. I'm looking kind of across the board for all characters, their utility and their usefulness, so that's the reason why I didn't put Star-Lord on there. Obviously, if we're talking, you know, if we're putting in Labyrinth of Legends, that kind of pushes him further up on the list, but that's kind of why I don't have him on here. Alright, can't wait to hear your comments down below. You're welcome to leave your list if you'd like. We'll match him up. We'll see what the community has to say, how close I was to you guys. Where you disagree with me at, that's totally fine. I'm open to all of your... well, I just say comments? Yeah, we'll just say comments. We'll leave it at that. Alright guys, I've enjoyed the class breakdown series. I've enjoyed these top 10 lists. We'll have to sit down and do one at some point next year as well. As always, I appreciate the support. If you have any comments, like I said, leave them below. If you have any questions, you can shoot me over on Twitter. Questions there. The link to that will be in the description. Until I see you all in the next video, have a great day.